People think world-changing moments come from power, fame, or impossible talent, but the truth is far simpler. The biggest changes in human history began with the tiniest actions, a choice, a gesture, a moment no one thought mattered. This story shows how one small action, taken by an ordinary person, set off a chain reaction that touched thousands of lives, and reminds us that you have the same power. In a busy corner of Chicago lived a young woman named Maya Thompson. She wasn't famous. She wasn't rich. She was just an everyday school teacher, overworked, underpaid, and exhausted most days. But she had a quiet habit. Every morning, she wrote one encouraging sticky note and placed it somewhere in the city. Sometimes on a bus window, sometimes on a cafe table, sometimes on the mirror in the school restroom with words like, "You're stronger than you think. Don't quit today. You matter." It wasn't a plan. It was just her tiny way of fighting the loneliness she saw in people. One cold winter morning, Maya placed a yellow sticky note on a train station bench that read, "The world is better with you in it." Then she left for work, thinking nothing of it. But that little note found someone who needed it desperately. A man named Daniel Brooks, sitting on that bench, battling silent depression, feeling invisible, forgotten. He had convinced himself that no one would care if he disappeared. Then he saw the note. Just a piece of paper, just a few words. But those 7 words hit him like a lightning bolt. He stared at it for a long time, and for the first time in months, he felt something shift. He folded that note carefully and put it in his wallet. That afternoon, he canceled the dark plan he had made for the evening. That tiny act saved him. But the story doesn't end there. 2 weeks later, Daniel decided to pay forward the kindness. He didn't know who wrote the note, but he couldn't forget the feeling it gave him. So he bought 10 small sandwiches and handed them out to homeless people downtown. One of those sandwiches went to a woman named Erica, who had been living in a shelter while applying for jobs. That sandwich gave her hope and a small burst of energy she needed. She kept applying, and finally, she got hired at a local bakery. 6 months later, she was stable enough to help someone else. She noticed a little boy who came to the bakery every day after school to sit alone until his mother finished work. She always gave him a free cookie, not because he asked, but because she saw herself in him. Years passed. That little boy grew up believing the world wasn't as cold as it seemed. Inspired by Erica's kindness, he started volunteering. In college, he launched a campus food program for struggling students. By age 28, he founded a nonprofit that provided meals to thousands nationwide. And all of this began with a single sticky note on a cold Chicago morning. A small action, a tiny moment. Something Maya thought meant nothing. But it sparked a chain reaction that changed lives she would never know about. One day, during a local charity event, Maya and Daniel finally crossed paths, not knowing each other's story. Daniel recognized the handwriting on the event posters. His heart stopped. He pulled out his wallet and showed her the faded yellow sticky note he had kept for years. Maya's eyes filled with tears as she whispered, "I didn't think anyone ever saw them." Daniel smiled and said, "I saw one, and it changed everything." It's easy to believe our actions are too small to matter. Too small to help, too small to change anything. But the world doesn't change from grand speeches or billion-dollar plans. It changes when ordinary people decide to do something good, even if it's tiny. A smile, a kind word, a message of hope, a moment of generosity. These small acts ripple outward in ways we may never see, but they matter more than we think. Because sometimes the smallest action becomes someone else's turning point, someone else's miracle, someone else's reason to keep going. If this story touched your heart, remember this. You have the power to change the world today in a small but meaningful way. Start with one kind action, one encouraging word, one small gesture. And if you believe small actions can create big change, hit like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs this message today. Your kindness might start a chain reaction you never get to see, but it will change the world.